What's going on, everybody? Non here, and a little late on this week in distro, but yeah, better late than never. So we're gonna talk about some Pokemon. Actually, a lot of Pokemon today with the reprints. Last week was a pretty quiet week because everybody was kind of crunching numbers and figure out what's going to happen or how they're going to come to market with it. We're gonna talk Magic. We're actually gonna talk Bandai a little bit, and I want to start talking Bandai because I did talk to them at GAM a couple weeks ago, and what's interesting is they kind of have the stigma that are they going to overprint, destroy games. It's Bandai Crusher of TCGs, right? And it seems to me like they've really changed their tune, where they are planning on printing enough, but not too much. Is kind of what the mantra was in the when I met with them. But it's interesting because a lot of these games just like, hey, here you go, distribution, you allocated, we're hands off. But it seems like Bandai is really in the weeds on this now, more so than ever. So I think it's super difficult to get a lot of product at new release. Now if there's a bunch of product that's it's just dead inventory for a while, that's another conversation. Then I think that's what happened with Rudy's OP8 or whatever sale that he had this weekend. But with new product, they are in the weeds, in the details, really dictating what the allocation is with distribution. Yeah, I think that's to some extent with Dragon Ball. This new set is actually pretty well received. The master set. They're certainly that way with One Piece, and then again with the new Gundam set coming out, it's going to be absolutely insane. Um, and actually saw some playtest. Didn't have a chance to do it. I wasn't there on the Wednesday evening when they did playtest, but it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. It's you have your suit, you have your driver, you have all your defenses and or your pilot, whatever you would call it. So it's you're trying to kill the other guy, but you have it's interesting. So anyway, that's it on Bandai. Let's talk Magic the Gathering. And Magic's been a little bit of a shit show lately. Innistrad Remastered is effectively dead product at this point. I believe Magazine Exchange has a little bit. And again, this is their website. We'll talk about everybody else, but at least I have a visual for the video. Um, it's been a little bit of shit show. Innistrad Remastered is dead inventory. Aether Drift, which is super interesting, seemed like a bottom right around 210 over the weekend. A lot of sell through on TCG Player, a lot of volume dried up. So hopefully a lot of people pulled it, a lot of stores who had some pulled it off the market. But it seems like people are buying it, they're ripping it. And I think Aether Drift's going to be perfectly fine. You have the little bit of association with Karlov Manor, which kind of is what it is. Not unfair given the time of year, but also not necessarily fair. So we'll see what happens there. But that takes us to Tarkir. So Tarkir is a weird set, and again, I mentioned previously, Wizards of the Coast solicited orders for Final Fantasy before they solicited orders for Tarkir. Final Fantasy is a June set, Tarkir is an April set. In addition, last week, and by the way, Final Fantasy orders were due early last week or end of week before, depending on distro. Tarkir was all due last week, early last week or late the week before. I think we're a little late with some of our orders, but that's fine. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of I don't want to say a whole lot of demand. That's the wrong term, but it seems like it's certainly soft with Tarkir, which is kind of what I expected. But completely unexpected, Wizards wanted orders starting to roll in for Spider-Man, which is a September set. And as I mentioned in the video, this one scares the living crap out of me because it seems like they're taking a page out of their print to demand secret lair book, where they want to know exactly how much distro wants, and they have, call it 5 to 6 months to print it and print and print and print. And I think part of the reason for this is, again, I did a full video on this. The exec team at Hasbro hasn't made a whole heck. I shouldn't say this. They haven't broken the bank in the last couple of years because, quite honestly, the numbers have been pathetically bad. But they have an opportunity to crush their numbers because the bar is absolutely low. You couldn't trip over it if you were 15 beers in. But I think this is an opportunity where they can really goose their earnings in Q4, Q3, Q4, and get paid. And yeah, I guess good for them. But I am scared to death that this Spider-Man set is going to be overprinted and an absolute disaster. So I may, quite honestly, order nothing but for the store. But that gets us back to Torqueira. So we've already had a couple allocations from stores, and it's been a better number than Aether Drift, even though I'm sure it's not printed nearly as much. And I think that's because everybody looked at Aether Drift, they looked at Innistrad Remastered, and they pulled back a little bit. And everybody's eyes are on Final Fantasy, which is really, really cool. Because I think, again, I've mentioned this before. This is the first real Magic the Gathering feel set in over 2 years. Um, really back to Ixalan. And Ixalan's a bunch of dinosaurs, so not exactly super MTG based. And then, you're looking at Eldraine, which again is like Alice in Wonderlandy, sort of, kind of. So it's been a while since we've had, some old school D&D feel Magic set. But what's interesting about this is there haven't been a whole lot of spoilers, and the commander decks are 3 colors. So the question is how is the land cycle going to work for this? And I've seen a couple rumors where fetch lands are going to be in the special guest slot. If fetch lands are in the special guest slot, these collector boxes are going to be $300 very, very quickly, especially since nobody wants them. So we've increased our order. We pretty much double, I think, on the collector and the commander deck side what we wanted for Aether Drift, just because I think it's slept on. Yeah, just a little bit of contrarian. So anyway, that's Magic. You have your normal dump, your inventory closeouts here. Again, they still have Innistrad Remastered at $259. It's just kind of dead right now. Aether Drift Collectors $219, limit 6 per account. So, Magazine Exchange is known for they have inventory longer than everybody else does. If you're a store, it's great because you can always get inventory. You can always mark it up. You won't have a stock out on the shelves. Some of the bigger online sellers hate Magazine Exchange because they can't make 70% margins on product, and it kind of is what it is. So, another item real quick. We did order a bunch of, and they're not on here, Duskborn Commander decks, and we were told that the demand for those were super, super soft from distro. So we'll see. I know they've started to go a little nuts. I mean, the one deck's pushing $150 each, so we'll probably get them in the next week or two. Who knows? Wizards seems to be a little bit behind on some of their reprints. So, all right, Pokemon, everybody's favorite topic. So as we see here, there is one item listed, and I will come back to it, other than Trick or Trade. So, Twilight Masquerade. So I want to talk about the reprint and what I'm seeing from distro, and this is going to be a huge week because I think this is a week where everybody's going to chop wood, and we're going to figure out what the allocations look like, what the pricing looks like. But last week, here we go. Twilight Masquerade in stock, $159 a box, limit 2 per account per week. On the face page here, and again, Magazine Exchange tends to be a little bit higher than everybody else with market. For example, with the Bloomborough Commander decks when they came out, most distributors were 108. These guys were 129.99. So there's a little bit more margin here for Magazine Exchange, but they also tend to hold the product longer. So again, if your store, the best ability is availability, as they say in the NFL. So that being said, have heard from multiple distributors that there's direction, and again, this is just rumor. This is not a confirmation. That the Pokemon Company's goal is to get the price down to somewhere around MSRP for these boxes. Part of the way they're going to do that is they supposedly they are pushing the distributors to prioritize allocating to brick and mortar stores, minimize online shoppers, minimize rip and shippers, and get the product into the stores. Now, again, these are booster boxes, so they generally do not go to big box stores outside for GT Collectibles, who sells on the Walmart website. And again, they are owned by MJ Holdings, who is buying directly from the Pokemon Company. And, we've seen some Surging Sparks boxes that they've sold at $199. So that being said, I will go through the list. So have not heard anything from Maddow in a while. I don't know how they're going to allocate. I don't know if they're going to just free list them on the website for order. I don't know. I don't know what the allocation is going to be between Kentucky and the Alaska warehouse. Um, just just don't know. So, magazine exchange we've seen here looks like they're selling Twilight in very, very small quantities. My guess is they are going to most likely send emails out to key accounts to solicit orders. And then they may open it on the specials page. This is the specials page. This is the only thing that's here yet. But again, I think this is probably the week where the orders get confirmed and either get shipped or get received. So it looks to me like they have a confirmation of Twilight Masquerade, how much they're going to get, so they're at least within reason. So they're able to do this, and my understanding is they're actually shipping these now, so they physically have them. But we'll see. The other thing that's interesting here is the boxes are coming from North Carolina, and these guys are in the Pacific Northwest. So I would imagine most of the distributors actually do have the product, at least to some extent, right now. I mean, obviously these are coming in train cars, and then 18 wheelers or box trucks for last mile delivery. So that's those two. GTS remains to be seen. What's interesting there is they do have a little bit of a retail arm. So are they going to allocate similar to they do with the new release? That's kind of the way I think it's going to happen. Where no different than what they did with Journey Together. They'll go through all of their accounts and say, this is what we'll give you. Do you want to take it? And that'll be for all 5 products. And again, I have confirmed orders for Obsidian Flames with distributors outside of Southern. So just be careful with what you hear, because a lot of folks they're honest, they're true, and they're speaking from their purview. But that purview isn't the entire market; it's just a little quarter of the market. So Southern did hear that Obsidian's either limited or non-existent there. Don't exactly know why. I don't know if it's the fact that they got their order in late and it was already taken up. As you can imagine, the distributors are going to jump all over this and take as much as they can, as quickly as they can, because it is the best-selling product that they have right now. But other than allocation there, I would imagine it's going to be similar to what they did with Journey Together. Alliance, I'm guessing it's going to be similar to Journey Together. They tend to be the last group out the door with their allocations. We did find out that the expected quantity is going to be the same across all of the booster boxes, which is interesting. I wasn't sure if there was going to be, more printed for surging than everybody else. And that could be the case. That may just not be how some of the orders were placed by the buyers. So PhD, same thing. Just told whatever we get, we expect to allocate it similar to how we have in the past. And PhD has always been a stickler for brick and mortar. Who am I missing? Oh, ACD, again, not a whole lot of information there. ACD is interesting because they generally always stick to the pre-release price. So if they do, my guess is just going to be open on the website. If they don't, it'll be emails, phone calls to specific accounts to try to sell chunks, and then the rest will go on the website, or they'll just pre-allocate it. So again, I have no knowledge specifically outside of what we see here for Twilight Masquerade and some of the things I've been told. But it's going to be a super interesting week, and we'll see what happens. So anyway, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and as we find out more, we will let you know. But it's gonna be a fun week. So, all right, guys, take it easy.